Huh. Elves with chainsaws? You son of a bitch, I'm in. Last Regiment is a mix of Magic the Gathering, civilization, and drugs. And all the art is made by someone who can make bank drawing porn. I mean, look at this. Just stupid, sexy goblins. But, what is Last Regiment? It's an indie game that plays like Civ, where you deploy units by drawing cards from your deck, and it is, at first, feels like a generic fantasy number 2556. But it sets itself apart with the decent AI, the deck building mechanics, and with the multiplayer where you use these mechanics, campaigns, and the interesting combat. What it does not set itself apart in is the story and honestly most of the combat in a way. I just cannot care about the whole story for some reason. There is some plot about infected going on, some pirates, undead mammoths. Maybe it's just my tiny decaying brain, but I just cannot feel invested in any of these stories for the most part. The campaign itself is fun, mechanics are there. I think it's just the character motivations. Outside of that goblin character, the pirate lady's motivations are blander than a loaf of bread. In fact, until the end of second campaign, which was about 6 hours in, it's a decent length. I got quite bored with the game, but suddenly game throws a curveball at you and ramps up the difficulty. And at that point, you either give up on the game or actually take the time to learn the mechanics. And until that point, you didn't really have to learn most of the mechanics, like I didn't know, I knew there was a cost for firing weapons, I just didn't know what it was, even though it is actually written on the thing, I just didn't notice it. You find out that the range attacks are overpowered as all hell, but cost 10 gold to fire. You find out about the terrain and splitting your forces, and AI can and will target your hero incessantly because it knows you lose when your horribly overpowered hero, who also gives you gold when she kills someone, dies. Who also has no range attack. Yeah, she is not very good. At least for that campaign, you use different heroes for different campaigns, and in multiplayer or skirmishes, you use the heroes that you pick. What is good though is the skirmish mode. You get to pick your commander out of the few that are available, and there is a pretty good amount. And what I hate in a lot of the games today is how much bloat they add. They add all these gazillion races and factions and heroes. Yes, I'm looking at you, Warhammer. And yes, I know it's been around for 20-something years, but most of those, all those like units and races, most of which are just beginner's trap. And you realize after getting your face stumped in a dozen times that there are actually about 3 of them that are good. I mean, look at Magic. Hundreds of cards, but when you go to a tournament, you see about a dozen, if you're lucky or so, decks, and the pre-made decks or builds. Like right now there's a World Championship going on for Standard, and there are 4 main decks that are going on, maybe 5. And those are usually worse than filling your entire deck. Just like the pre-made decks, they are just usually worse than filling your entire deck with tons of copies of one overpowered card. I'm happy when a game knows we do not have the time to learn the intricacies of just a $20 game. We're just here to have fun. And sure, a deep game is fun, but when you make it so complicated, it just no longer becomes so. And of course, if it's exploitable, multiplayer is not going to be fun. So just make it fun and simple units, but not so simple that it has no depth to it. So as soon as you learn the game mechanics, there is not much else to do. Fortunately, Last Regiment accomplishes that specific balance when it comes to the complexity and depth for a $20 game. In conclusion, if you're looking for something new to have fun with, I very much recommend Last Regiment, and it's just $20. And between a medium-sized pizza and the sheer hours of entertainment of this game, I will very much pick this game. Thoroughly recommend it. Check it out.